Good morning and welcome to Crane's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Wednesday, the 18th of February. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. Purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market and try to teach you guys how to do it yourself. So let's start with Google or Alphabet C share. Yesterday it touched the 100 moving average coming up here and the support here at 297.45. It could bounce and let's see that next few days we are in a negative sentiment though. And if it does close below the support here at 297.45 and below the cloud, well, then there could be further downside potential. So let's see here in a couple of days, or will it bounce back up towards 319? Negative sentiment still. There's no divergence, but often there's not when we're talking about equities. Amazon also bouncing from key support yesterday. You could see this support is the gap area down here from back here May last year. Bounced strongly yesterday, or stronger, about 1% higher of 197.85. You can see the RSI turning around. We have been a little bit on oversold mode here, so we could see a bit bounce here next few days. However, if it takes out the lows there from Tuesday yesterday, then the downtrend could continue. And all this has, of course, also had a direct effect on the Nasdaq 100. Bounced a little bit yesterday from the minor support here at 24,500. But it is a key level, as you can see now it turns out to be. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, especially with a close, well, then we are looking at 24,000, and there we have the 200 moving average coming up. Here pre-market, we are up just a tad, about 0.25% on the future. But again, I think, as mentioned a couple of times, we are actually in a bearish trend short term on the Nasdaq 100, and it could dip down to 24,000, where we have some stronger support. Whether we'll do it or not, that will be that's debatable. But we are on a bit on a knife's edge at the moment. S&P 500 also touched and dipped a little bit below key support here, 6,789. If it takes it out, it did take it out yesterday, but never closed below. But I think next time, if it does just take it out, I think that'll be enough to push it down to 6,720, which is a key support. If that is being taken out, closing below, well, then we could be looking down here around 6,500 level. So we don't want that to happen, but we'll see about that. The pre-market bouncing a little bit, also did it after market yesterday here on the future, bounced a little bit. So it's still slightly positive, never closed below the cloud, but we also had here on the future, we had the RSI closing below 40 threshold, so it's still a little bit heavy. It really needs to get back above the cloud here in this area to have a chance to re-establish the bullish trend. The Dow Jones index, and let's see about that right there. And let's have a look at that. That's a little bit slow here, sorry about that. We can see unchanged day yesterday, still in a bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, and so on, but it's a little bit stretched, but nevertheless it is still in a bullish trend. The small cap index didn't do really much there, so also actually it made a new low there, new high, lower high, so has kind of indicated that it could push into a negative or bearish trend, but the RSI is still in a positive sentiment. Hang Seng still closed due to Lunar New Year, so we'll move on to the Nikkei. Unchanged this morning, or actually the past week or so, in an elevated state. A little bit stretched with the RSI divergence there, so I think we could see it possibly trading sideways here for the next the future. It needs to take out 58,620 to resume uptrend. EuroStoxx50 had a fairly good day yesterday, 0.7% higher. Still keeping its positive momentum, still positive sentiment on the RSI. So could push higher, but it needs to take out these peaks here, and then we are in for a push towards 6,200. But for now, struggling a little bit, but it could be a positive sign there. The pre-market here, there's still a little bit of time before the market opens. We are ticking up a little bit, and if you kind of get RSI back above 60 threshold, then there is positive signs. Again, yesterday, the DAX index actually tested the 25,020 key resistance levels. We can see it tested it so many times, but it never closed above it. It spiked above it, then got knocked back down. So here, Tuesday it tested again, and Monday and Tuesday, and let's see what will happen here today. Here pre-market, it is actually trading above, so let's see if it can stay above, and if RSI can also get back above 60 threshold, then we are in for higher levels on DAX also. The FX market has generally been fairly quiet. We had a little bit dip here on euro dollar yesterday to the 786 retracement here, just around 118. I'm still medium-term bullish on euro dollar. Positive sentiment here we can also see still, but we need the euro dollar to get back above 119.30. If it takes that out and stays above, then I think we will see the bullish trend really coming back with full force, pushing towards the previous peaks here around 121 in the coming weeks. And I think that scenario will play out as long as we stay about 117, 60, 65, where we have the 55 moving average coming up. That is key to support there. The sterling dollar dipped yesterday to the support there at 134.95, just below 135. It did it here about a week ago, and now it dipped again yesterday, but we have the 55 moving average coming, giving some support. So I think eventually it will turn around. It will take some time though, and it needs to get back above this 137.25 to re-establish the bullish trend, but still positive sentiment indicating likely higher levels, but it will take some time. And I actually think here in the near future it will trade in this broad range here between 135 and up to 137. So it needs to break out of that for direction. Euro sterling spiked above this peak here yesterday, just around the 50% retracement of this downtrend there, and we could see it up to the 61.8 there at 87.65. But look at this, RSI really struggling to break the 60 threshold, and that will be key for a further upside momentum. If can't do that, then we could see it sliding back here to the 87 area. But we're above the cloud, so maybe that could play out, but that is really key to us. I think if it takes out the peak from yesterday, then we will have to move higher. Moving on to the yen pairs, that is still taking a little bit of breather, maybe also because China is closed, so there are less market participants, so a little bit of liquidity is not there. However, we are trading sideways here, still key that it stays above these lows here at 152.25, 152 area. If it takes out these lows, well, then I think could see a push down to around 150 and the 200 moving average coming up, giving some support. We do have still negative sentiment on the RSI, so I actually did expect a little bit of a bounce up to 154.35, possibly a little bit higher here. But can still do it because it's formed this little bit of a support there. It could turn around, so keep an eye that these levels there. Euro yen bouncing from the 100 moving average again, tested it yesterday, and we should see it bounce higher to 182.87, maybe a little bit higher, 83, 183.5, maybe even up to 184. But I think if it really takes out these lows here for the past few days and the cloud support there, then we could see a push even below the 179.75 and down to 179 or 178 and a quarter support. We are in a negative sentiment with the RSI, so it actually does support lower levels, but this is a fairly strong support area we are trading at the moment. Aussie yen bounced off the rising trend line once again here a couple of days ago, but can it keep continuing, because we actually have the RSI values declining, so we are in a bit of a stretched trend there for and that could be significant. If it takes out the lows there from the 16th of February with this bullish candle, actually bottom candle, if it takes it out, then we could see a sell-off down to around 106. But for now, we are still trying to bounce a little bit towards 109.5. The sterling yen, sorry, the Aussie yen, that was the Aussie yen, the sterling yen, 100 moving average, strong support area here, 207, just above 207. However, we are in negative sentiment, and we can remove this one. We are in negative sentiment, and there is potential lower. If it takes out 207, well, then we could be looking at 205 fairly quickly. So the 100 moving average here again is giving some fairly strong support. Aussie dollar, well, it can't make up its mind, can it? I mean, it's still in a bullish trend, and it should push higher, but it's also stretched with the RSI showing exhaustion mode. So we will have the RSI needs to take out the falling trend line there. And what I will also do, I will add this here. So if it can get back above this horizontal line there, this peak there, well, then it could resume uptrend and then push higher above this peak there at 71.5, and then we could be looking at 72 plus. But for now, it is struggling a little bit to keep the upside momentum. Dollar Canada, let's just resize there. Dollar Canada still in a bouncing mode, spiked higher above the 786 retracement yesterday. Can it continue? I mean, it did fall back, and if it can't take out that to push up to 137 and a quarter, well, then it should slide back here in the coming days. But I also think that is something to be, what will the dollar do, and the euro dollar, what will that do, and then slide back. So really lit blurry picture, or muddy picture at the moment on many of the pairs, the FX pairs. Euro Swiss has bounced, but not that much. I mean, it doesn't really, it looks like, yeah, let's move higher, no, let's move higher, no, and then can't really make it up its mind, but it should bounce up to around the 61.8 retracement there at 91.65. But still, we are in a bearish trend, but we can also see the RSI is rising there. So downtrend exhaustion for now. So let's see here the next few days. So we can actually see over a few days some bouncing. If it takes out the lows here, well, then we are looking at the lower levels towards 90. Dollar Swiss touched the 61.8 retracement there at 77.40 yesterday, and then got set back. And it is still in a bouncing mode, but it now needs to take out the peak from yesterday to push up to 77.75. And I'm not quite sure it will do that. I actually think we will slide back here towards the end of the weekend and then resume downtrend. I mean, still negative sentiment. There's actually no divergence on the RSI indicating lower levels, and the overall picture is actually bearish. But now it's just, again, here's a little bit, we didn't get a new low there compared to here. So what will it do? And we had this very bullish candle there that also indicates kind of a bottom, and maybe this is a double bottom, but then it needs to get back above 78.17 here, and that will take a little bit while to do. So again, a little bit of a blurry picture, but we are in a bouncing mode. But let's see if we start sliding lower there. Dollar index spiked almost up to the 786 retracement of this downtrend there, or this sell-off there. And can it actually get back up there again? I mean, it opened more or less same price yesterday, so it's a little bit of a weird candle here just in between everything. So I actually think we will see it resuming downtrend, but for now it's still in this bouncing mode. But if it takes out 96.37, well, then we are looking at the low level down here again. And the first sign of that playing out could be that we are sliding back here towards 96.60 and RSI turning back below the 40 threshold. On gold, a little bit positive tones from the early morning there and in the Asian session. Touched the 38.2 retracement there at 48.43 of this uptrend there. Could bounce further, but again, it needs to take out these peaks here, 51.18.19 for further upside potential to 5,340. Still positive sentiment. No divergence, indicating that is the scenario that will play out, but it has taken some time and with the great uncertainties. 60 threshold needs to be broken. We need to push back above to support this bullish move there. If we're looking at the future, we can also see here how it's been rejected at the 61.8 retracement, and then it has set back. The silver spot is bouncing here overnight from the 61.8 retracement of this bounce there, so now bouncing again. We are still in the cloud, so we are in kind of a neutral position, positive sentiment on the RSI, so we should also see higher levels there on silver, but it needs to at least get back above the 55 moving average and above the cloud there to give an indication that it will do that. And the 86.30 peak there, if it takes it out, then we have re-established a bullish trend. And here we can see the silver future, more or less the same picture, obviously, that got knocked down from the 786 retracement, bouncing from the cloud peak there. Platinum in the cloud, so in a neutral position, but hasn't closed below anytime. So still, I think we will see it turning around, and it needs to take out these peaks here from about a week ago at 21.95. Then I think we will see uptrend re-established. Copper dancing around the rising trend line there and around the 569. So also a little bit depressed, still positive sentiment, but we have this day with the declining. It needs to get back about 60 threshold to re-establish bullish trend. I think we could see that if we see signs that it's pushing back here up above the cloud, but really 611.55 is the key resistance. Then we are in for the bullish trend again. On the energy market and the WTI sitting back a little bit around the 62 area here. We're still in a bullish trend. Quite a bit of volatility the past couple of weeks, really positive sentiment. I think we should see it higher, but for now, it was basically just trading sideways. So it's really hard to read at the moment what it want to do. The Brent Crude oil dancing around this rising trend line there, maybe dancing sideways out of it, and then we can actually delete it. Like I will delete this because then it's obsolete. So really not easy to read at the moment, all these with these wild swings here. So let's move on before we get some really direction. The European nat gas trading at just above the cloud and around the 786 retracement there, just around 3 euros. RSI testing 40 threshold. Will it bounce or will it continue lower? And then if it does, well, then it could suddenly be down here around 27.5, 27 level. The US nat gas around the $3, and I think we will stay there for quite a while. We have some support here at 292, and there's no signs that we will bounce strongly back. I actually think it will keep sliding lower. US 10-year Treasury yield, as we talked about yesterday, I expected that to spike down, maybe below 4%, but it didn't. It just a few pips above 402 to be exact, and then it bounced. And now we could actually see maybe a fairly stronger bounce, but not that much. I think we could see a push up maybe to around 410, 411 in this region, maybe even 413 to 38.2 retracement after this massive drop here the past 2 weeks here in February. However, if it takes out the lows here from yesterday, well, then we could take out also the lows here at 398. European yields. Moving on to the EU10, that has been dropping here also the past couple of weeks, just above 50% of this uptrend there. Could drop lower, but now we are in this kind of consolidation area here. But let's see, could drop lower to 267. I think though we will see a little bit of a bounce here to around 277, 278 the next few days after this massive drop. I think there should be a correction kicking in a little bit, but we are in a bearish trend. The UK 10 also dropped lower yesterday, actually below the 786 retracement. We still have the 433 excuse me, down here. That is a key support. And Japanese spiking a little bit lower there, so maybe now we should have a little bit of a correction. We can also see the 40 threshold bounced off it here overnight, so maybe we should have a little bit of correction there. So what I will do actually, I will add a new Fibonacci to this. So I'll remove this one, then I will put in one there and think, okay, maybe we have a bit of a bounce there, so we could bounce up to around 220. Bitcoin still 60,000. That is key support. Not much to report on cryptos really. Same here, 1740 key support for for Ethereum. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and keep trading out there and keep charting especially, but be careful.